Welcome, Wanderer. A big patch is approaching Diablo 4 that's finally fixing Soulspires and surprisingly buffing a lot of things and increasing the damage. Patch will drop on the 7th of October. Let's start with the most important thing, Infernal Hordes and Soulspires. At the moment, Soulspires are horrible. They get spawned, you walk inside, the range is up, and no one spawns inside of that range to help you progress. And the enemies that should walk into it, they mostly stand outside and attack you with ranged attacks, making a Soulspire take way longer than it has any right, and therefore breaking the whole flow of the Infernal Horde. The fix Blizzard imagines says the range of Soulspires was increased, and monsters will frequently ambush players inside. This is directly addressing the two things I mentioned. Monsters are standing outside of the range, and barely anything spawns inside of the range. Hopefully this leads to a more fluent Infernal Horde, and you can finally have fun actually spawning the Soulspires, because they're good boons. 2.5 times more ether from them, you can stack that with another 2.5 times more ether, you can stack that with another 2.5 times more ether. But doing so was never worth it because it takes so long to do them. And they got another little one that's super important. The ambushing Hellborn Infernal offer now results in far more Hellborn ambushes. This one was usually useless to take. It leads to almost zero ether gain and barely any Hellborn coming at you. Now the important part about these Hellborn ambushes is they can happen with any other ether event. You get an Etheric Mass, a Soulspire, a Fiend, and Hellborn could ambush you. And if Hellborn then ambush you and you kill them really quick, the ether event counter just goes forward really quick, giving you more ether events. So if now more Hellborn are ambushing you, you get faster ether events, you get faster Soulspires that then also happen faster, and again, the whole progress of the Infernal Horde just feels smoother. Now let's get to the bread and butter, the buffs. Convocation of Spirit Chaos power goes from 200% up to 400%. Convocation of Spirit says, casting a non-ultimate skill has a 1% chance to invoke the spirits of that skill's type, which deal 200% increased damage. This chance is increased by 1% of your ultimate skill damage up to 10%. No one is actually playing this because everyone that plays Spiritborn is going for Beast Cornered, which is also finally getting properly reworked to be better. However, with Convocation of Spirit going up all the way to 400% damage, that's a huge increase. Maybe it's worth to dabble with. Now what's happening to a Beast Cornered? Because currently it's absolutely draining your life empty. My Spiritborn is pretty much playing at 1% HP at all times. However, he also has a huge amount of barriers, so it doesn't pretty much matter. It's kind of like playing Mana Shield, just a little bit different. The reason this happens is, spending resource also drains a percentage of your life equal to 30% of the resource spent, refunding those resources. This cannot reduce you below 10% life. That's the huge drain that's happening. However, that's another 180% bonus damage if you're down to 10% life. The new Beast Cornered still gives you the damage reduction, the bonus damage, everything. But each resource you spend also drains 0.2% of your maximum life to refund 40% of the total resource spent. This cannot reduce you to below 10% life. That's a complete flip to what we have currently, because right now it's bound to how much resource you actually spend. And I currently spend a lot of resource because of the Rod of Kapaleka, which burns all my vigor on every cast to give me a guaranteed critical strike, and then I overpower with the Banished Lord's Talisman, so I'm kind of hurting myself a lot. Now I will drain a fixed amount and actually get more resource back on top of that. Quite interesting. Or the Banished Lord's Talisman and Rod of Kapaleka combo, because the more resource I have, the more resource I spend, the more resource I get back, the faster I can use this again, the more overpowers I get. And then maybe Jason Shell, which drains my life if I have active cooldowns, but at the same time restores my life if I attack, could keep me at 20% life, 30% life, instead of going all the way down to 10. This will lead to a safer playstyle, but technically slightly less damage, but maybe more because of the resource refunding properly working. For the Rogue, Unpredictable Alchemy and Hit and Run are both getting damage boosts by 20 and 20%. Now let's look into the Rogue leaderboard. Does that even matter? Okay, we got Mr. Mippy here, German fella, dominating with a Death Trap build, dish dashing around, and he does not play the Alchemy, but he plays Hit and Run, which says every 50 meters you move grants you bonus damage. This bonus stacks, but does not refresh, which means you have to consistently dash around, then reset the cooldown with Death Trap to dash around, Death Trap, dash around, Death Trap. And if we consider now that goes from 50 to 70% and it actually stacks, that's already instead of 100% after 2 dashes, 140. And after 3 dashes is 210. You get the drift. It's like a very nice damage gain that stacks and gets more. Pretty cool. My favorite part might be the barbarian buff. We have single-minded fury. Bleed duration is increased from 250 to 300%. Maximum life is increased and damage bonus is also increased. Single-minded fury said, if you only have one arsenal weapon type equipped, gain the following. That was the overpower chance, the damage, the bleed duration, everything. That is now more than ever. And I was from the very beginning hoping that with a bonus bleed duration, there might maybe be a world that you can finally play Rend and Rupture together maybe with Flay and do a full bleed build that actually completely bleeds out the opponent, especially with the changes to the sword expertise. It now says at rank 10 you deal 30% increased bleeding damage. Prior, in order to get that bonus bleeding damage, you had to kill an enemy, a bleeding enemy if I'm not mistaken. So right now we can just deal more bleed damage, we have more bleed duration. I really want to play a full bleed barb instead of what is out there right now because it's kind of cool. The Rogue's Orphan Maker now deals more damage than ever, from 50 up to 100%. I'm not sure if that's enough to make the build really popular. It does do trillions of damage. This is Matthias the Gamer in the background here right now. And you have this playstyle where you swap between your two skills, and as you notice, they're always kind of on cooldown. It does lead to trillions and super trillions of damage. But you notice you can't just spam away like the other builds where it's just truly going like fop, 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 right? You're forced to do this skill swap, skill swap, skill swap, and it's like a weird halting. I can't really put my finger on it. It just doesn't feel right. So more damage doesn't really make it feel smoother. It just gives you more damage. Maybe in order to make it truly pop, you need to actually play 3 skills. Right? 3 different skills to have them reload overlap better. Then for the Sorcerer, we got Crackling Energy no longer gets picked up from the Convulsion passive if your full-on Crackling Energy charges. This is extremely important for the Sorcerer's builds, especially when you're playing Oaken's Catalyst together with Essador's Overflowing Cameo. Convulsion currently says you deal increased damage while you have Crackling Energy, and you periodically pick up nearby Crackling Energy. Now the issue was, this will stop situations where high attack speed can cause you to run out of Crackling Energy because you kept picking them up even if you're full, kind of depleting the Crackling Energy on the field. And Essador's Overflowing Cameo says, upon reaching maximum Crackling Energy, you rapidly unleash all charges on the closest enemy to deal increased damage. You cannot gain charges from hits while rapidly discharging. If you then rapidly discharge, but your convulsion picked up all the ones around you, then there's nothing else left to pick up, and yeah, kind of stings. Good news for Druid as well, the aspect of Wild Rage is coming back. It was disabled because it was causing the Creeper, the Poison Creeper, to infinitely stack damage. The aspect of Wild Rage says, casting a companion skill has a 40% chance to activate an equipped companion skill, and it was used for Ravens to spam more Ravens. However, we found multiple ways to not have to play the aspect of Wild Rage at this point and deal even more damage than before. So re-enabling that is not even going to have us play this because we're fine without it. The most important part of the patch really being the Infernal Hordes with the Soulspires. Now, what I'm asking myself is, would you like an option to jump ahead to the end of the Infernal Horde? Because right now we're farming Bartik, right? And as soon as I have 666 ether, and I might reach that at wave 5, I might reach that at wave 4, and I do an 8-wave horde or a 10-wave horde. Sure, I could grab more ether to then turn that into more money, Opticide, or gear, but sometimes I have enough Opticide and enough money and enough gear, and I really only want the Chaotic Armor. So would it be interesting to kind of like cut the horde short, or not? Is that kind of breaking the things? Is that making farm too quick? What do you think? Would you like to see something like that? Oh, and if you're looking for a couple of amazing builds, I got you covered. Absolutely speedrunning Pit 100. Enjoying yourself. Take care.